Hello, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the last mile. Give me 1 second here, please, as I am getting something ready here. Um, just have to check on the time here, guys, because I do have a last pickup. Today has been a little crazy. This week's been a little crazy, actually. The summer's been a little crazy, actually. How you guys all been? Um, yeah, I got home. I had to start it a little late today because ran over on my Curri morning gigs. And yeah, so now here I am. I'm home, but I got one more curry left today. It's some days are crazier than others. Had no out of states for those of you who have not been keeping up. I've had no out of states in a couple of months now, but I have seen a couple in the past, probably, I don't know, 10 days maybe. Um, but so I'm kind of fishing now. I'm fishing for some big ones, but it's been a hectic couple months. So what's up, traveler? How you doing? Hey, what's going on, Giggin? How you doing? Send me a curry offer. There, you got a curry offer. I don't know what to tell you, bro. What's up, Mad Cat? How you doing? Hey, even Oscar, how are you? Yeah, good afternoon, guys. Good afternoon. So, this week, yeah, just a quick catch up with you guys and more to get myself back in the tune of doing last mile. Next week, I'll be back with a full episode each week. I do have it's 2:30 Mountain Time, and I do have a 3:30 pickup, so it's only going to run about a half hour today. And I'm really just here for you guys because here's my recap of summer so far. Is that I know a lot of people are summering summer slowdown. I know that people are finally dealing with the reality that delivery apps just they're never going to get back to pandemic levels, and that's for sure. And they're going to have quite the time desaturating, especially the DoorDash platform. The DoorDash platform has done so much damage um, because during a time when even when when X amount of drivers were needed, let's say, for DoorDash, which was way more than we ever would have thought, without a pandemic or anything like that. We never would have thought that even that was needed. But what was needed was ridiculous amounts of drivers. And that all plays into the fact of how even back in the day, Rideshare and all of these do how they do a market. When they come on, they oversaturate the crap out of the market. So it's kind of the game plan, but at the same time, food delivery had been around. I mean, gig app food delivery had been around for a while too. It just nobody was really catching on to it. Nobody was into it until the pandemic. I mean, there were a few, but one of the leaders was Grubhub. I mean, the only one that was transparent was the leader of food delivery until the pandemic, and then it became the last horse. But yeah, so I know people are suffering. People are suffering, 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 and that's why we keep the multi-app alive. And that's why I've really, I mean, that's a it's a few factors. I also just never really clicked with the fact of the food delivery. And I got to explain this to you guys, because when I was doing food delivery on a level like many of you do, it was more because I knew that that was the place for the money at the time. I'm always moving to where the money seems to be, and where business just makes the most sense for me, like looking ahead, like, and more than just tomorrow. Like, okay, I'm killing it on this app, I'm just gonna keep doing it. I'm always looking ahead. So I always knew food delivery, I mean, that how could that have lasted forever? I mean, will it be around? Absolutely it will. I mean, the we know that the gig app, not independent contractor gigs like I do outside of the apps, but the gig app platform world will be surviving and thriving globally. So, is the United States going to be the only country that doesn't step up and keep levels with the world? No. So of course it will be. But I mean, it's moved into things such as nursing now, and even that needs like a redo, because there's been ways that nurses are being played on this being able to go anywhere they want and work. Um, but I mean, but let's stick with this notion of the food delivery for a second. This is why I started Last Mile. This is why this is episode 50. Is because we need other ways to earn. Competition is good. You know, for too long, we just kind of loved the platforms that we loved because they were they were paying so well. You know, first of all, when they're trying to oversaturate markets, they're going to pay you ridiculous amounts. Um, People, you know, when everybody started talking about base pay, and I'm talking about way back. I mean, I don't even know what the highest base pay ever was. If anybody in the chat does, please throw it out there. But let's say it's $5, $4, whatever it was. When people started noticing base pay cuts and they were like, "Oh, the base pay is going down. This isn't good." I always thought to myself, "Man, it's if that's the complaint you have, um, you're gonna have bigger problems, bigger fish to fry because base pay is nothing. I mean, it really is nothing. It's if that's your worry is the base pay goes down, well, I mean, many have even said it'll be at zero by the end of this year. So base pay has nothing to do with it. It's how collectively do the platforms make sure that the drivers get paid. You know, in a perfect setting, you'd want the old school model of just the tipping. But we have businesses now, you know, we've all heard the term tip fatigue. We've probably all felt tip fatigue, and like me, I cringe at that term, but I understand it. And I've even probably had it, but I still go ahead and tip. It just makes me do less things where I know I would need to tip. Like I might not go out to a bar, I might not go out to a restaurant because I know that not only is it okay, look, if I take my son out to a restaurant, it's going to be this much money and this is how much the items cost. No, it's because I know I might have a beer. I might, and I'm going to tip for sure. I don't know how much that tip will be because it's based on too many factors for me anyway. You know, I start off at 20%, but I only go up from there. So, I mean, to me, it's like, you know, I might tip a lot because I understand taking up the table. You know, like if let's say that I am just out with my son. Let's say that we plan on going out to a 20-minute dinner, you know, half hour dinner, and it turns into like an hour plus because we end up in a long talk or something. I understand the value of that table time. So to a server, I'm taking up part of their property and I understand that. So I'm going to tip even a little heavier. But like most people, I'm not in a position to be able to tip how I normally want to. Um, I think that makes food delivery one of the biggest culprits ever to get around tipping because not only can you easily get away with it, um, you can say leave at door, and that makes it really an impersonal thing. So if you say leave at door, it makes it's sad, but it makes it a little easier maybe to not tip at all or to tip so weak or to remove a tip like some of us have seen. So it's, you know, I don't know. I'm during the pandemic when we did the leave it door, you guys have heard me talk about this many times. Just over in Europe, they didn't have a leave it door. They didn't allow you to leave it at the door because they didn't believe in putting people's food into a pile of mud. Um, So you still had even during the pandemic, you were masked, but you handed the food to them because they're civil. We decided to go in an uncivil way. And hey, you know, I mean, I'm going to call it what it is. Leave it door means throw my food in the mud. I mean, it doesn't, but come on. There's porch lights are out. There's bugs. Sometimes it's raining, so it is mud. I mean, let's be honest. If you're spending 70 to $100+ on food delivery, why would you want it put in the dirt? Just saying. I don't want my food in the dirt. Um, but yeah, that's I mean, even most places bags. Like, would you even want that bag in the dirt? That there's only the bag level before dirt. So I don't know. It's just to me like you're spending way too much money to be just leaving it in the dirt. But the companies have loved it. It allows them to keep jacking up fees and all these other things and be hidden about it, not transparent. And this is why I stepped to, you know, this is why, and you know, when I was making a move away from to try and add more apps, but still keep ride sharing under my belt. And then the pandemic hits, and I'm like, okay, I'll do some food delivery. And most of that was done with the Para app. I mean, 90% of the DoorDashes anyway that I've done, I mean, DoorDash in particular, were all done during para times. Now again, I'm doing more and more DoorDash. However, I'm going to tell you guys that don't already know my secret. Yes, I was doing because I'm a bottom dasher. I was doing the schedule one shift a week for whatever they'll let me. I mean, I'd get a couple options, but sometimes like 2 hours. That's like the best one I could find. So I would take a 2-hour scheduled dash. I'm not scheduling anything anymore, and I dash on pretty much any evening I want. I just choose dash along the way and I stay in my zone. And that's how easy it is. Thank you again to Brian Kern out of Pittsburgh, who tipped us off on a live stream, or at least tipped me off. I know some of you guys probably already knew that. I didn't know about that. I thought that when you hit dash along the way, you'll only see orders going up to there, leaving your zone. But the other thing is, when you're a low bottom feeder on DoorDash, like a lot of times the best offers I see on a scheduled dash do take me out of the zone. And then I can't even dash coming back into the zone. Even when I'm on a scheduled dash, if I'm enough out of the zone, I'm out of the zone. I can't get a dash coming back. That makes no sense, because wouldn't they always want you to return to the zone and therefore allow dash along the way back into the zone? That should just be a given. But you got to get back out of the gray and get back into your zone. Okay, well, maybe not all the cities are laid out like mine, but the way mine lays out in my zone, especially, a lot of the orders I might get are going out of the zone. Now, when I do dash along the way, I know that you're all thinking, well, you pick up. I'm learning how to pick which part, because the city's always lit in different parts of Denver. There's like 14 zones. So I pick it based on, I know this time of day, I might be wanting to go southwest direction from my zone, but stay in my zone. So if that makes sense. Now, if they do the same thing that they did on when I was scheduling, they might have me, okay, we need you to go, take this, it's going to go out of the zone. I can go right back into my zone and pick my fishing hole again, but I'm still dashing. I'm still I get more offers by dash along the way than I do scheduling a dash. That's pretty pathetic. And so in my book, that gives me the top dasher status, because I can dash. I mean, there's only been maybe twice that I've looked since I've learned this where there's not a zone I can hit dash along the way to. And when I hit dash along the way, one of my fears was, well, you got to at least go up towards there. Nope, I don't. I have not. I've been doing this now for almost 3 weeks. And whenever I do want to even just dash little bits, and that's even the best part, I'm not relying on a dash block. I'm just dashing. If I want to dash for a little bit after some curries, then I just turn it on, dash along the way, and I don't even go anywhere near towards going along the way. I just sit in my zone and take offers. That's how easy it is. So if you still have, I know that Kim's side money plans, she said that in her zone or in her market, dash along the way is gone. I mean, we all know that there's different standards in each market. In my market, and I know in many, dash along the way is still there. It's not been removed from it's in more markets than it's not in. In fact, I would assume most of you have dash along the way still. In which case, if you're a bottom feeder like me and you'd like to do DoorDash, I'm not even the biggest DoorDash fan, but when I do want to do it, I do it. And I don't have to schedule anymore. So I don't have to be a top dasher. I don't have to play the tier game. I don't have to have 80%, and DoorDash can suck it. Now, Curri. I'm just going to give you guys an update. Curri's been here. It's pretty simple. It's been great to me. It's been this summer started a little slower only because, and this was in the start, this was May, not summer slowdown like some people refer to now. But I knew that our market had onboarded a lot of drivers. So we were like Tony's on Curri here in Denver too. And so Driven Dad and I, we were watching other people take what we would think, no, dude, that's a no-brainer. You don't even bid on that one. We were watching those get taken. Now they're not. Now they're not getting taken at all. And so now it's back to the Curri system of bouncing up. So I'm just doing my thing. I love it. I do it in the morning before it's hot. Like today I was out till just before this, and man, it got hot. Like I forget, just this is one of the best parts is that I go and I get up at 4:30 in the morning. I'm out the door at 5 for a scheduled Curri, and then I'm usually out till about 11:30. And then I come home right as it's getting hot. And that's the best, because then I can go back out in the evening, or if a good afternoon one comes in, I can always take it, like I'm going to be doing here shortly. But I mean, Curri's been great. It's, here we are. Everybody always says to me, like, Well, how great can it be? It's, didn't you just pass your 3-year anniversary with Curry? I did in May, 3 years. And again, I'm still earning like I did 3 years ago. Curry has a wait list. Curry makes sure that the right amount of drivers are on board. Curry offers very little bit, but Curry also knows how to kick them up the ladder quick enough when there's not newbies grabbing onto stuff they don't want. Um, with that said, there are a couple changes to the Curry app. I don't know. I'm on a beta system, you guys. So I don't, if you've never visited the Facebook group, um, for Curry, the official one, I'm an admin on that group. And so I can, if you go on there and comment or whatever, I can make sure, say hi to me and I'll shout back out to you. But, oops, there's offers in here, but there's a new feature here. And just in case any of you are on it, it's so like once you've accepted a delivery, it's called deliveries beta. Once you've accepted the deliveries, it goes into the deliveries beta. And I've already found a couple things with it. So any of you who are might be using this, you do have there's a couple changes. One of the biggest ones that I noticed was a problem, and I've already reported this back to the team. I'm kind of on a real-time reporting system about this, but is that as soon as you hit that, like in the morning when you say that, yes, I got this one, it's scheduled, it says en route. Like it makes it en route right away. And I said, I'm not going to be en route for an hour and a half. So it's not for an hour and a half. So that's a big one. The rest of it looks good. It's just a different interface. A couple times Curry's changed the interface, and I feel like it's usually just a facelift. There's really nothing behind the scenes going on. So still waiting for a couple of changes that I think would be great, like stacking. They tried the routing a little bit in the beginning of summer. I wasn't the biggest fan of the routing because I believe if you're going to do that, just do just try and get one of the Curry routes, because that's what the route runners were really doing anyway, and they were just trying to pass it along, thinking that that looked like stacking to us. And I'm not dogging on it because it was better pay than you could get like on a roadie doing multiple stops or on something else, but I wasn't a big fan. There were a couple I took this summer that probably had 4 stops and paid $125 for the time. So I mean, it was like maybe 2.5 hours. So the pay was great. I'm not dogging on anything about it. I meant when I say stacking, and what I want to see come back is where I can stack 2 from the same place at the same time, because I know how much I can fit in my car. Nothing but hey, what's up, Traveler? What's up, Jersey? What's up, Kevin Hawthorne? What's up, Sean? What's up, Ellen? How are you guys all doing? I think I've said hi to everybody now. So, nothing but hot shots in my market. Yeah, well, I mean, hot shots are pretty much all there really is. Yeah, if I don't even know. Let me look in the app real quick. Let me just, because I have it open right here. Yeah, so if you Traveler, if you look down, if you're in the app and you look down, you see home, you see deliveries, mine's deliveries beta, you see opportunities, and then the fourth one, you should see routes. It might say that there are no routes in your area, but if I remember right, there's a way um, to at least express interest in that. Like, yes, I'm interested. It might flash back to you that, hey, we don't have routes in your area at the time. Usually there's not. They get taken really quick, but if there's a way, I don't really remember. And I know mine, I've already done routes. So I don't even know what mine says. Okay. So if I hit routes, it says, route gigs will show here for route runners. What is a route runner? If you are not a route runner and are interested in becoming one, click the button below to notify us. And then there should be a button. See, mine's gone because it says the team already knows you have interest. That's what it should say. You should be able to click that button and make it so that it goes grayed out, and it should say the team has been alerted that you are interested. And trust me, that's not just some BS like DoorDash or another Instacart or something might throw you. That the team is actually alerted. So when a route does come open, it is the same way as Curry normally works. How close are you to this? Because on a route, you'll be using their vehicle, not yours. They pay the gas, but you right. Oh, you mean like the night before? Yeah. Those are usually hot shots as well, though, or they are hot shots. They're scheduled hot shots. So I guess I was thinking of it differently, because a route is a route. A route means you're going to be doing it. Like when I did a route, it was Monday through Thursday from 8 to 1, but I never ever wasn't done by 11 a.m. And you get paid for the whole 5 hours. That's how they do it. I think again, I don't know, because I'd be speaking from about a year and a half ago when I did 2 different routes. But the last I knew, and I think the price has gone up a little bit, depends what market you're in. But here it was $30 an hour for route runners. You don't use your vehicle, you use theirs, and it was 45 if you go over the time that they show you that the route will be. So, but I was always under. So so let's say that it's 30 times 5 hours. That's $150, right? So you'd get the $150 even if you're done in 3 hours and it's not your vehicle. So again, routes are a different thing. I think what Traveler's saying is that he doesn't see the scheduleds either. Those will come with time though, because that's all in the shipper. You're saying HotShots. So when you're talking about HotShots up here in your market, you're referring to the fact that, meaning like that day, an offer is coming through, like right now, this is available. Can you take it? Yeah, that is a hot shot. But so is me as a business saying, okay, I need this done right now at 2:50 Mountain Time. I need a Curri driver to do this right now. But so is me at this same thing at 2:50 today, saying I need this done first thing in the morning. That's a hot shot run, because a lot of times even they might even want it right now today, but they know that the place you need to pick up from is closed, or they know this or that or the other, and so therefore they have to put it in as a scheduled. So that'll just come with time in your market. I know that for a fact. I know you already see more in Syracuse than you did. I know it's still not up to a par level, but I think, obviously give it time. It's still working on it. And I know you're still waiting on Metrobi too, and Metrobi's been good to me too. So again, guys, just take deep breaths. If Metrobi's not in your market yet, like I know it's not in Travelers yet, but other people too, like just take deep breaths. It'll get there. Not everything can roll out real quickly. What I can say about the B2B space, obviously there's competition. These companies fight over this. You got freight, you got dispatch, you got drop off, you got Curri, you got Rodeo. But really what they're doing is competing on different levels. It's different because it's not cutthroat like, oh, well, DoorDash is going to do it for this. We're Uber Eats. We'll do it for this. We'll do it for the. It's not a race to the bottom. It's a race to the trajectory. So Curri is the top shelf of B2B delivery. You're going to get it quickly. You're going to get it efficiently. It's going to be done professionally. There's no stacking and routing along the way. So you're not going to wait for somebody. Like if you say that I need this delivered right now and you're tracking it in real time, which Curri allows their customers to do, you don't have to watch a driver go out of his way to the drop off because he's picking up a $3 DoorDash order and he thought he'd stack it. I mean, you might once, but then Curri will deactivate you after a warning. I mean, like you'll get a warning. But Curri isn't stupid, and they logistically do watch. So they'll say, well, why you had a hot shot. Why didn't you just go A to B? They don't care which way you go or what GPS you use or any of that, but they do care that you're going from A to B, and they're not stupid. They can tell when you're taking pauses or going way out of your way. And they are let me say this again. Let me make this very clear to you, because they are very aware of how many people are multi-apping, and they are very aware of how many people stack other things when they're getting things done. And they're also aware that that is the right of an independent contractor. However, they're working as these are hot shots, and that's where their definition comes in. These need to be done right now. These need to go from A to B, and there can't be any other work done in the middle. Again, that actually, as long as it's transparent, that still meets with the independent contractor state in every state that would meet with it, because yes, there's a specific on it, but it's being told to you up front. It's not a hidden metric where it's like, oh, you didn't go right from A to B, you're gone. Like it's not, we got you kind of stuff. It's they want you to know this. Yes, when you take a Curri, we expect you to take it right then and there and take it, pick it up, drop it off. So again, the devil's in the details. And with Curri, The details are all right there in front of you. It's not a hidden TOS. You don't have to have somebody else go through it after you look at the TOS and go, hey, make sure this doesn't have any trick wording, because I feel like it does, and I'm going to learn some things over the next few months. It's not like that. They want you to understand it. In fact, they're happy to give you answers and things like that. I know that a viewer who is, I don't think he's in here today. I know that he's in Dallas, and he's been doing Curri too. I know he had a background check issue, and it wasn't a Curri one. It was a checker issue. And this leads me to something I want to talk about here, and I'll use this today because I have this delivery coming up in a little bit, because I want to respectfully say this to everybody. And I also am curious too. Would everybody be willing to pay once a year for a background check that was done properly for, let's say, $50? If you could pay to have a $50 background check done once a year, and you get to go review it. Once you review it and you say, yep, nothing that you need to challenge on there. Again, if they find stuff that's real, there's nothing you can do about it. But I'm saying, like, if you go in and check it and you see that's not me, or wait, you got my wrong address, or some of the details are wrong, you can challenge it. And this is why I'm saying $50, because this $50 is twice as much as the companies spend with Checker. So would you be willing to spend twice as much as they spend on you, which would, at first, I know it's saving the company the money of checking through Checker, but the way I'm looking at this is it has to be sold to the companies as something that they're gaining, even though we already know they gain in every other way too. But if they don't have to pay the $26 to Checker, and because there's another two companies out there that do what Checker does. One of them is twice as much. One of them is kind of the same price, does a little more, but the one that's twice as much does a decent amount more. And I even think that they could even do a little more background check and really let you see it. And therefore that would serve as a, here's your background check. And for the whole year, all of the apps respect this the most, because when I say this, I'm talking about a company that is way more respected, even by the gig apps themselves, than Checker. Don't think because DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, because all of them use Checker, don't think that Checker is the grandioso, or that's the one, that Checker's the be all end all of background checks. It's not. But Checker is horrible. Checker does an F- job at background checks. It doesn't get the stuff that needs to be got a lot. It gets people. It actually trips people up if they move. There's stupid things that'll trip you up with Checker, but the real deep stuff often gets overlooked. So my thing is, could we almost have like a gig worker status medallion? Something that I do myself. I run it through the company. I don't have any say with this company. I can't go in and bribe them and say, hey, don't report on me correctly. So again, I'm going to pay them, but I'm going to pay them. It would be a thing where you submit, you do gig work. This is my thought. I just want to know what you guys think. You submit your information. I'm going to do gig work. I want to know what my, I want to look at this badge thing. Then they send you back an email. Okay, we've done your background check. Here you can log in to see it. Now you wouldn't have to pay until this point. This is where you'd be able to look and say, yep, that's everything on there is right. It's correct. Again, it's not like, oh, good, they didn't catch this, or oh, they didn't catch this. You might see things on there, but if they're correct, would you be willing to pay for that background check to have as your like medallion? Therefore, here's the big gain to me: $50. Okay. And that's because I know these numbers from working with Paraworks. $50 is all you'd pay for a year, but you would know for a fact you would pass every background check that during that year that you need. And maybe even during that year, they have to update it once at 6 months or whatever. Just like sometimes these apps have twice a year for their insurance policies, they have to check you twice a year. So maybe every 6 months it would have to be done. But it's probably could still be done for the same $50. We're all supposed to be business owners. We're all supposed to know what we're doing. These are supposed to be our businesses. We're independent contractors by the nature of the agreements and everything else. So whether or not you want to say, I don't think I'm an independent contractor because I don't believe that these apps are playing by the rules, that's fine. You still are an independent contractor. I agree that it's very cloudy. and it's very they should have set a better tone and better language about all this. However, you are an independent contractor by all the terms that we're working under. How that's being looked at and dissected is state by state. But if you could have that and know that anything you try that you, oh, I'm interested in this new app, you know for a fact you'll be onboarded because this passes their criteria, and that this company and the one I'm thinking of is 10 times. I mean, it's twice as much, but it's maybe not even 10, 100 times better than Checker. Now the companies know this too, but why would DoorDash, Uber Eats, any of these people, why would they use a background check that's going to cost them twice as much for every driver per year to check? Again, you and I might think, well, because if it's that much better of a background check, don't you want to have better drivers? Yeah, I mean, behind closed doors, their answer might be sure, but when it comes to the bottom line, they're not going to pay twice as much per driver on a background check, even at what seems like us is minor levels. You know, like, well, 26 or 50 instead of 26, these companies can afford it. Well, now think about the number of drivers they have and the amount of onboarding they do. I think that it should give you a status that shows that you are well intended to do this work. And I think that it would almost serve as, maybe they could even have different tiers too. Again, I'm just off the top of my head here, but maybe they could even have bonding. You know, like, does your background check? Because again, if you go get bonded, you know, does your background check allow you to be bonded? Because that's one of the things that when you get bonded by the state to be in somebody's home or whatever, because I know some of these apps are now asking you to deliver into the homes. You guys might, I've seen a lot of you guys commenting that you're doing it anyway. And you might think, yeah, but the burden is on the homeowner, not me. If I fall and trip in their house, it's on them, not me. Yeah, but it's on you to take them to court. And there's a whole miscommunication thing that will go down in that event, where whoever you're doing the deliveries for is going to not only turn their back on you, deactivate you, but alienate you very, very strongly too. And they're going to leave you on your own. Your insurance is not going to get involved in you stupidly walking into somebody's house as a DoorDash driver and putting away groceries. They will not do that. Because again, then now you're actually going to get down to the labor law in your state. And your insurance adjuster, even if they don't know it, they're going to have to real quickly learn, wait, what does independent contractor mean in the gig economy? And it definitely does not mean you are bonded to be in people's houses. So maybe there's a bonding feature through there too. And yes, of course, it would cost more money. But maybe all of this could be done on our own personal levels based on the type of work we're doing. And my thought is here's me. I would much rather do that than always just be in a fingers crossed position about Checker with any app. I mean, you could onboard to 10 apps tomorrow, be put on 8 and say, hey, yep, we ran your background check on Checker. You all good to go. Maybe on 8 of them you get through, and let's say you onboarded to 10 in the same day that don't have wait lists. On 2, you might get, hey, your Checker background didn't pass. And yet there's no differences in the guidelines. I'm not kidding. There's no differences I mean, some of them might, some of the smaller brands might, but when we're talking about the giants, there's no differences on what they're asking for in Checker. But yet on those 10 applications you did, 2 of them might go back through as, oh yeah, we pulled the wrong person on that report. Well, you pulled a report and sent it to 10 places. What are you talking about? How could it not just be me on all of them? Oh yeah, well, those two we accidentally sent Bob's report, not yours. Like, I mean, their excuses are that stupid. I've had to deal with Checker on many occasions on a level that none of you have. And I can say that because I know this for a fact, because I'm not doing it for me. When I was working with ParaWorks, I was often on the phone with Checker trying to cut through some of the BS that was going on with some of the checks we were trying to run, because that's when we really started noticing how trashy they are. You know, you got to dive into something first. Like, maybe you've had some firsthand experience with Checker, and for that, I feel for you. But I've had a lot of your firsthand experiences with Checker where I'm trying to push them on answers and can't get them. Like, what are you actually running for here? And Why isn't this person passed? It's even been people I've known in some cases. Like, they're on 10 other apps. What are you talking about? Like, and what didn't pass? And of course, they can't tell me. They can't tell me other people's info, but I've called them from a purveyor standpoint and said, hey, we're using the service, Paraworks, and I have every right to know why what are you guys exactly running? So I've been through these questionnaires with them, and it's like having a different agent on the phone all the time, although they're not out of country, but they all get it. But I've gotten different answers from people too. Like, yeah, that should have gone through. I don't know why it didn't. And then you might get the other agent who says, at the same day, the same time, just depends on which phone route you're going to, who might say, well, yep, they failed that test, and they don't dig into it. But it's a very, just so you guys are aware, the background company that checks for all of us to be able to work on these platforms is one of the nastiest, most, part of it is the fact that they're so bogged down. Okay. I mean, remember, they're doing all the background checks for all of the apps in the country. So, but they have these like weird quirks that still to this day exist. The moving thing is a big one. That's a huge one. Like, especially if you've switched states for some reason, Checker, and yes, Checker, if anybody from the Checker team is watching this on now or the replay, yes, you are failing, because the moving thing alone from different states, I have heard 100 stories of these, and each one sounds stupider than the last. Like, when somebody tells me the story of what happened, I'm like, that makes no sense. Why wouldn't Checker be able to follow that you moved from Michigan to Indiana? And yet, when we get down to it, that's exactly where the problem comes in. I know people who, I know a guy, Mac, he's been on here before. It's been a while, and I think Mac has moved on to other things. But Mac he lived in Idaho. He moved to Oregon. And when he moved to Oregon, he had an Oregon driver's license for 3 years. He was doing his taxes through DoorDash for 3 years, and other platforms that he was doing. But then he gets a thing from Checker saying, you did not pass our background check for DoorDash. And what it ended up being was, they're like, but you live in Idaho. And he's like, morons. He's like, I live in Oregon, in Portland. And not only that, I've been doing my taxes with you for 3 years. You know this. You send me my tax information to a Portland address in Oregon. What do you mean I live in Idaho? And you have my license. You have this, you have that. What are you talking about? And they're like, oh, well, Checker said you didn't pass. This is a known thing. I mean, city to city is one thing that's even caused hiccups. But if you move to a different state, I would almost encourage you to contact Checker. If you do gig work and you move to a new state, almost preemptively contact Checker and let them know, hey, I do gig work. And I know this might even sound a little rude, but you have every right to do it. Contact Checker and say, I do gig work, and I just moved from California to New York or wherever you moved, and just say, and I just want to make sure that my account's in good status, because I've heard of drivers not getting a clear Checker background check because of switching states. Their operators are actually aware of this problem. So people are aware of the problem. They're not fixing it. So that's that. But yeah, next week on the last mile, guys, I got to get out and get this delivery here soon, but I'm back. I know it's been kind of like some bumpy weeks, but I'm back. We got the Display Ride logo up there if you've missed it. A couple of different things here, kind of doing some safety stuff right now. And I know Kim is too. Kim and I are also working on a couple things with a couple different people. So for the next several weeks, you might see us doing this, but they're all safety ones. So got Display Ride. We got Legal Rideshare. Do not forget this. Legal Rideshare should be in your, just take a screenshot, do whatever you want. It's legalrideshare.com. Put that in your favorites on your phone, because that should be your first contact if you're ever hurt, or if you ever hurt somebody else. So again, they can defend you, even anything that you're doing while doing gig work. If you're on a scooter, e-bike, you're walking and delivering, whatever, or if you get hit while you're doing the gig work, they are better to deal with that platform than you will be able to find a lawyer yourself. So at least contact them, free consultations. And then the last one that I got to give a little shout out here to is Mr. Gary, GaryZapps.com. I got the Maximo logo up. But yeah, guys, that's another safety thing. So that's 3 safeties. We got Display Ride. We got Legal Rideshare, and we got Maximo or Gary's apps. Check them out. They're all amazing safety tools. But next week we will be back here. We're going to talk about Metrobi. I know some of you are still waiting, but we're going to be talking about some Metrobi. Be talking about Fetch. I don't know about where you guys are. Check if Fetch is around before next week in your market. Fetch is in a handful of markets already, so check. It might be in your market. And of course, we will be talking about Curri for sure. But we will also be talking about, if it's not next week, it'll be the week after. We're going to be talking about some delivered and some catering apps as well. But for this week, guys, and there's the display red camera as we leave. That's how small it is. I wish I could show you guys on a bigger thing. But before we leave here, you guys, next week, it will be returning Last Mile, and it is at its new time now. It will be 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, and it will run 1 hour, not over, not really much under. It's going to be 50 to 60 minutes each week. So again, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, starting next week, which is the August or July 31st. It will be the last day of the month. Check out the Last Mile. Catch us here. And yeah, we're here. We'll see you back here next week. And bring your questions, bring your comments, bring your concerns. And yeah, we're going to talk about some Last Mile stuff and some of what I've seen. We'll go through some offer screens too. I'm going to show you guys what I'm seeing on Metrobi and what I've been taking, what I'm seeing on Curri and what I've been taking, what I haven't been taking. So we'll do a screenshot episode because you guys always love those. Maybe I'll even turn it into a game. Who knows? If I do that, I should probably start collecting right now because about a week's worth is a solid amount to use. So I could start collecting today. Okay, we'll do something like that. Next week, we will do something. At least part of it will be a would you take these? Because you guys give me, I always get great insight from that too, because you guys give me wild answers where I'm thinking, of course they're going to think what I think. No, it's not that way. And it can be market relevant. Like maybe in your market, that's not that many miles. Maybe you don't have the traffic I do, or maybe you live in a bigger city and have worse traffic, so it doesn't appear to be. So it's always a good conversation. I love doing those, and that's what we will do next week. Until then, you guys be safe, earn smart, and don't miss tomorrow night on the round table. Until then, be good, be safe, and earn smart. Peace, y'all.